Hi, I'm Claire and welcome back to my channel. Okay, so today is a haul video. I don't even know, I'll count how many books I have to show you today. Okay, I have 49 books to share with you today. That sounds like a crazy number, and it is. It is. I got all these books from library sales, and a few of them I got from a thrift store near me. That's my favorite to get books at because paperbacks are only 79 cents, which is like unheard of. It's like a Christian mission thrift store, and they have an incredible selection of Christian fiction, and so I find stuff there all the time, and it is so fun. So I'm going to share with you all these that I have. I don't think I'm going to go super in-depth into what all these books are about because the video will take forever and ever, amen. Okay, so I thought I would start with my May Book of the Month box. I skipped in April. There wasn't anything that I could get as my main book. If you don't know how Book of the Month works, you have to have a main pick to be able to get add-ons, and while there were some add-ons I was interested in, there were no main picks that I was interested in, or like they have little tags on there that tell you kind of what to expect in the books, and their favorite one to use is salacious, which is what I'm trying to avoid. I got 2 books this month. The first one was Dissection of a Murder by Joe Murray. I have not read this yet, obviously, so I don't know any of the content in this, but this sounds absolutely amazing. I do not like to be scared, but I love a legal thriller, and that's what this one is. I don't know much about this book, which is how I would prefer to go into a thriller of any kind, but what I did read about this sounds amazing. You're following Layla. She's a young lawyer. She's handed her first case. The defendant will not speak to her. The victim is a well-known, well-respected judge, and the prosecutor is her husband. So it just sounds kind of crazy, and it sounds pretty good. So I'm going to try this one out. I never get thrillers from Book of the Month. I'm usually like a fiction, fantasy, romance reader as far as Book of the Month goes, but this one sounded so good. And I really wanted to get a book this month because Catherine Sinner's new book came out. This is The Shippers, and I heard from Paris. I'll link her channel below, but Paris reviewed this one and said it was, I think she said it was her favorite of Catherine Sinner's so far. I might have that wrong, but she really liked it. Catherine Sinner's books are always closed door. They do have language, but it is a secular book, so usually going into those, you know, they're not going to be perfect, but they're closed door, which is mainly what I'm looking for. And I don't know anything about the plot, but I love a Catherine Sinner book. I know I can rely on them to be closed door, and that's really all I need to know. And it's almost summertime, which is usually when I'm in the mood to read romance, so it was a good idea to pick this up. I've read a lot of Catherine Sinner's. I think I have 3 on my shelves that I haven't read yet, and this makes 4, so I have to get to those soon, but I'm really excited about this one. So I'm going to get started with the books from the library book sale. There were 2 library book sales within like a week of each other, which is really unfortunate for me and my book buying habit. I went twice to one and 3 times to a different one because they restocked. My husband and I went yesterday, right before evening church services, because for Mother's Day they were having a fill a bag for, and everything in the bag would be $10. And so I think we got, I want to say 27 or 28 things. So by the time you add that all up, everything was like 30 cents a piece, which is incredible and so fun. So I'm just gonna show you the like outlier thing that I got first. I'm gonna show you my outlier first. This is the Treasury of Grand Opera, edited by Henry W. Simon. The art style on this is so cool. This is one that I got on the $10 bag sale day, so it was supposed to be $2 and it was only like 30 cents. The copyright is from 1946. A little about me: I studied music in college. I actually taught elementary school music for a while. I don't do that anymore. My major, or when you do a music degree, you have to pick your main instrument, and so my main instrument was my voice, and so I would sing a lot of opera, and I still love the opera, and I think it's like the most amazing thing. It's so cool. And then on the inside, it covers I want to say 6 different operas. Here's where it covers Don Giovanni, and so it has these cool illustrations on the inside, and then it has parts of the score, and it tells you about the story of the opera, so you kind of know what's going on. It has some scenes from the operas, so you can picture what's going on or what they might do on the stage. Very cool. I'm very excited about this. There's 7 shows that are covered in this book, and I've seen 2 of them. But yeah, this is so cool, and I was so excited to find this. Okay, first book, I Was Anastasia by Ariel Lawhon. This is the author that wrote The Frozen River, which I loved, but was a very hard read. This one covers Anastasia Romanov, and if you've ever seen the Anastasia animated movie, you might find interest in this one because it is covering her story. So I'm really excited to read this one. I really liked Ariel's writing style in The Frozen River, so I'm excited to look into this one. Next is The Portrait of a Lady by Henry James. I don't know much about this one, but it's a classic, and I'm really finding myself interested in reading more classics, so I'm very excited about this one. This was one of my most excited finds. This is The Extraordinary Deaths of Mrs. Kipp. I've heard so many good things about this one, so I'm really excited to read this. This sounds like right up my alley, although I kind of teeter back and forth between like liking stories with older people in them and not, so we'll see how this one goes, but I really like the premise of this one, so I'm very interested. Next is The Graduate by Naomi Novik. This is the second book in a series. What's the first one called? A Deadly Education. I have not read the first one, but I've heard these are clean, closed door, I guess I should say. I don't know about any other content, so, but I'm really excited about these. This is a fantasy series. Next is Dragon Fruit by Makia Lucier. I don't know how to say her name, but this cover is so cool. So I'm really excited. I think this is a YA fantasy. Okay, this is another one I was super excited about. This is The Story She Left Behind by Patty Callahan Henry. I've also heard incredible things about this book, and I'm very excited for this one as well. Then I have Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell. Another classic that I'm excited to read. The first paragraph of this book was really what sold me to buy this book. It just sounds so lovely. To begin with the old rigmarole of childhood. In a country there was a shire, and in that shire there was a town, and in that town there was a house, and in that house there was a room, and in that room there was a bed, and in the bed lay a little girl, wide awake and longing to get up, but not daring to do so for fear of unseen power in the next room. A certain Betty, whose slumbers must not be disturbed until 6 o'clock struck. When she awakened herself as sure as clockwork and left the household very little peace afterwards. It was a June morning, and early as it was, the room was full of sunny warmth and light. And I just thought that was the most pleasant first paragraph that I've read in a long time. So I'm really excited about this one. This is another classic that sounds very intriguing to me. Next is In Every Heartbeat by Kim Vogel Sawyer. This is, I want to say this is the first book in a series. You should know that it doesn't bother me to read books out of order in a series, especially if they're just interconnected. But this book is a World War I story. I don't think I've read any stories surrounding the World War I time period, so I'm interested in this one. This is Christian fiction from Bethany House. And I'm really interested in reading some backlist Christian fiction. I'm not scared of like an older book with a corny cover. So I'm really excited about this one. Next, I have Marmee by Sarah Miller. This is a fictional story following Marmee from Little Women, and I love Little Women. So I'm really excited to read this one. I am always really cautious to read a story about a character in a beloved book, but I've heard good things about this one, so I'm not too frightened that this one will ruin anyone or anything for me. So yeah, this is an exciting one. This will be good around like Christmas time or winter, which is always, I think, the best time to read Little Women anyways. Okay, this one is kind of an oddball pickup. This is A Walk Out of the World by Ruth Nichols, and it is a children's, I want to say, it's like a fantasy novel from 1969, and it's written by like a young girl. And when I looked up reviews, the reviews were really great, and they said it was a really original, interesting story. And I feel like it's getting harder to find an original story these days, so I'm really excited to read this one and see what I think about it. Then I have Winter Weather by Janelle Hovde. This is from the Whistle Stop Cafe mystery series, and I have a couple of these that I haven't read yet, but I thought this one would be nice for around Christmas time. As you can tell, it's got a Christmassy cover, so this one just sounds good and pure and like a good time. Next is A Table by the Window by Hilary Manton Lodge. I had to do some research about this one for a second because to me it looked like a memoir, but it is not. It's a Christian fiction. It's about a girl who is trying to decide if she wants to open a restaurant with her brother or continue being a writer, but it just sounds interesting and like something I haven't read before, so I just thought I would try it. Next is No Distant Too Far by Lauraine Snelling. I've not read a Lauraine Snelling yet, but I do have the first in this series. I think this is the second one. So I figured I would go ahead and pick this up, and then I have the second book ready when I finish the first. Next, this book is called Crossing Oceans by Gina Holmes. This one sounds really good. It was published in 2010, so it's a bit of an older book. But this sounds incredible and maybe really sad. It's about a girl who gets pregnant, leaves home, doesn't tell her parents where she's going. She doesn't tell the father that he has a child. And then it sounds like she gets a health diagnosis and she's dying. And so she goes back home to see who she's going to pick to raise her child after she's gone. So she's interviewing, in a way, her father and the child's father, who doesn't know that he has a child. And she hasn't spoken to her father since she left with the child 6 years ago. So it just sounds interesting and sad and messy. So I'm really excited for this one. I have a soft spot in my heart for a gothic romance. This is On the Night of the Seventh Moon by Victoria Holt. My mother-in-law loves these gothic romances where they're kind of suspenseful in a big scary castle and you don't know what's going on. These are really clean, minimal if any language, and they're closed door, and they're just a really interesting read. They're really atmospheric, So if you like a brooding, dark, scary castle, maybe on the moors, you should really look into these. Victoria Holt, Phyllis Whitney, I'm looking at my stack. Madeline Brent, those are kind of what you're going to want to look into. They're incredible, and my mother-in-law loves these, and she gave me like a collection of these to just try, and that's really what started me reading again. So these books are the reason that I'm reading now, and they're really good, and you can easily find these at thrift stores all the time. So I'm excited about this one. I loved the cover, which is really what made me pick this one up in particular. Next is All Summer Long by Melody Carlson. I'm just excited for another clean Christian romance, so added this to the collection. I think this is another romance. I'm not sure if it's a romance or just a contemporary fiction story, but this is A Portrait of Emily Price by Catherine Ray, and this is another Christian fiction, so I was excited to add this one to my little stack. Then I found An Ivy Hill Christmas by Julie Klassen. It says this is part of the Ivy Hill series, and I have not read any of the Ivy Hill series, so let me know if I shouldn't read this until I've read any of the Ivy Hill series, if I'll know what's going on. I know sometimes with a novella, it's not as easy to just jump into a story as it is with like an interconnected standalone or something like that. So let me know if I need to brush up on some of Julie Klassen's other works before I start this one, but I thought this was a good find. Next is another backlist Christian fiction. This is Whispers Along the Rails by Judith Miller. This is a second in a series, but it doesn't sound like I need to read the first one, so I went ahead and picked this one up. It's about a girl who's a spy for the railroad, and someone is using her information that she's getting against her and others, and so it sounds good, like a little spy novel, and this is a Christian fiction as well, so this one sounds really good. I have another Lauraine Snelling. This is Valley of Dreams. This is the first in a series. You'll be proud of me. I don't know much about this one, but the girl on the cover looks really young to me, so that'll be interesting and different to read from a younger girl's point of view. So yeah, don't know much going into this one, but I know Lauraine Snelling is a very beloved Christian fiction author, so I'm just excited to see what I think of her writing. Next, I have On Magnolia Lane by Denise Hunter, another contemporary Christian romantic fiction. So I'm excited for this one. This one looks very summery, so this is another one I'll probably save for the summertime. Okay, I'm really excited about these. I found a whole series by Carolyn James. This is the Ladies of Summerhill series. Love on a Dime, Love on Assignment, and Love by the Book, and all of these sound really wonderful. It sounds like they're all gonna have really feisty main characters, which I like, and so I'll let you know what I think of these. So they just sound incredible. I'm really excited about them, and I'm glad that I found a whole series. That's so fun. They also don't look like they've ever been read. They're like in perfect condition, which is great at a library book sale because it seems like they're either like old and beat up or they have the library stickers on them. So this was really fun to find these. This is another middle grade find. This is Royal Summons by Elizabeth Cadell. I've never heard of this before. It's about a young girl who goes to an English village, and that kind of sounds right up my alley of what I've been liking to read right now. So I'll let you know how this goes and if you should be looking for this as well. But I also just thought the cover was so sweet and it just kind of reminded me of spring. And yeah, I just thought it would be interesting. So I'm going to give it a try. Next is Wild Mountain Thyme by Rosamund Pilcher. I've been reading Coming Home by Rosamund Pilcher and really enjoying it. And so this premise sounds really incredible. It's about Victoria Bradshaw, and she falls in love with a playwright, and then the playwright later on in their life ends up on her doorstep, and he's a widower, and he's bringing his 2-year-old son. And that just sounds really incredible. It just looks really springy, and I think I'm really going to miss Rosamund Pilcher's writing once I'm done with Coming Home. So I thought I would pick this up in advance just to have on hold for when I want more of Rosamund Pilcher's writing. Next, I have The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I've actually never read this, and I've heard so many wonderful things about it. It's a classic for a reason, and I think that from what I've heard, the story could be really convicting. I think Lauren Jean said that this is kind of like Ecclesiastes in a book. I love the book of Ecclesiastes. It's really scary but hopeful at the same time, and I think that would be really interesting to read this book with that book in mind. And also with F. Scott Fitzgerald, I got Tender is the Night, which also sounds amazing, and I think I really like the early 1900s literature, like the 1910s and 20s, so I'm excited about both these, and hopefully I'll get to them really soon. Next is Anne Bronte, The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. Don't know anything about this one either, but like I said, trying to get more into classics, and this one is in the Regency time period, which I love, so excited to give this a try. Okay, next is The Unexpected Mrs. Polifax. If you watch Chantel Reads All Day at all ever, she loves these books with Mrs. Polifax, and she included them on a video about comfort reads, and I love having a comfort read in my back pocket just for the times when you need those. And so this one sounds so funny. This cover is hilarious. She's got on her little poncho and she's riding a donkey. So Mrs. Polifax goes to the doctor, and they kind of see that she's depressed, and so she ends up becoming a spy. I don't know how, but I'm excited to figure out how, and it just sounds like a good funny time. So once I found the first book in the series, I was excited to try and start from there. Then I have 17 by Booth Tarkington. I love a coming of age story, so I thought I would give this one a try. Then I have Emma by Jane Austen. If you've seen me talk about my Pride and Prejudice edition, this is another Signet classic, and I have been looking for this copy forever, so this was a really exciting find, and I think this is the most darling copy of Emma ever. So I'm really excited for this one. Hopefully I'll get to this one soon. A few years ago I took a test about which Jane Austen book is most suited to your personality type, and I got Emma. That was a while ago. I need to take it again and see if I would get the same answer, but I've always been excited to read Emma for that reason. Then I picked up some Agatha Christie books. I got 13 Clues from Miss Marple. These are short stories, I believe. The Seven Dials Mystery. I loved this like mini series on Netflix, and so I really want to read the book. And then this title cracked me up. Hickory Dickory Death. Did you think I was gonna say Hickory Dickory Dock? No, because it's Hickory Dickory Death, which apparently the British title was Hickory Dickory Dock, so I'm wondering why they felt they needed to change it to Hickory Dickory Death for the American audience. I don't really know, but I'm really excited for this one. I think this is a Hercule Poirot, so I love him. He's fun. Okay, this book I'm very excited for. I've never heard of this before. This is Meet Me at the Museum by Anne Youngson, and this is an epistolary novel, so it's told in letters, and it's about a professor and a housewife named Tina, and they are just sending letters back and forth to each other. My fear with this book is that it's going to end up being like I hate stories where like a marriage is falling apart or you end up rooting for somebody to cheat on their spouse. So I'm really hoping that's not what this is. I don't think so, because I think it's like an older professor and a younger woman, so hopefully it shouldn't be that, but I'll let you know. I'm really excited about this one. This one will probably get read pretty soon. I've really been enjoying epistolary novels lately, so excited about this one, and it has a cutie cover as well. Another book I found was Forever by Your Side by Tracy Peterson. I haven't read anything by Tracy Peterson yet, but this cover was so beautiful, and this is a Willamette Brides book. This is the third one in a series So I'm reading them out of order, sorry. It sounds like it's an interconnected standalone, so it's not going to be a big deal, but these take place in Oregon, which is where I live. So I'm excited to read these just because they take place in Oregon, and that's fun. This is another one of my most favorite finds. This is Ever Faithful by Karen Barnett. Karen Barnett is really cool. I've actually met her before, and I have 3 of her books. This will be the 4th, and those 3 are also autographed because I went to meet her in December at a book signing. And then it's funny that I found this one at the library book sale, and it is also autographed. She's really sweet, and she writes historical fiction about national parks, and so all her stories take place in a different national park, and they have a little bit of a romance thread in them, a little bit of a faith thread. They're just really good. Last year we went on a camping trip with people from church, and I took one of her books and read it while we were camping, and it was like the perfect atmosphere to read one of her books in, and so I'm gonna just store them up and do that every year. I was very, very, very excited to find this book, so this will be a special little bit to my collection. Okay, next I'm going to show you a couple books that I've found at the thrift store where the books are like 79 cents. The paperbacks are 79 cents, and then the hardcovers are $1.99, which is still kind of a steal these days. So the first one I found is Mrs. Mike. This is by Benedict and Nancy Friedman. And I heard Chantel Reads All Day talk about this one as like a Canadian classic, which is really interesting. And I'd like to read for that reason. But also I love the title being Mrs. Mike because that's my dad's name. So I'm like, oh, this is my mom. But anyways, it just sounds really good. It's a love story, I think. And it has really good reviews on Goodreads, and I think it's kind of like heralded as a classic, so it sounds wonderful and pleasant and maybe a good comfort read. Next is Sipsworth by Simon Benbowie. This one sounds really similar to The Midnight Library, if you've read that one. I didn't love A Midnight Library, but this one is about an older woman who feels like she has nothing left to give society, and then one day like she starts talking to a mouse, and then she travels through time, something like that. But it sounds interesting, so I thought I'd give this a try, and if it's no good, that's okay. Not every book is a hit. Next is An Infamous Army by Georgette Heyer. I have some Georgette Heyer, you can probably see right there behind me. I haven't read her yet, but I'm really excited to read her Regency, and then I have one of her mysteries, Why Shoot a Butler? So I'm really excited to read her stories, and I've heard she's wonderful as well. Then I found this box set. This has a YA like mystery series in it. Truly Devious, The Vanishing Stair, The Hand on the Wall, all by Maureen Johnson. So I'm excited to try these. I haven't heard very much about them, but I have the Naturals on my shelf that I haven't read yet, and this sounds kind of similar, so I'm kind of excited to try these, but they're YA, so hopefully they're going to be okay, but sometimes you don't know, they stick some weird stuff in YA books. Next is The Shofar Blue by Francine Rivers. I had no idea even what the premise was for this book, but then I heard Oshina talking about how this is one of her favorite Francine Rivers books, and maybe one that she would take like to a deserted island or something if she could only read one book. She said this one really convicted her, so that made me really interested to read it. So then when I found it, I was like, oh yeah, I want to snatch that one up. So I'm excited to read this one. And then I discovered later that it was about a preacher and his wife, and so I think this one will be really cool to read from a preacher's wife's perspective. Okay, and then the last one I thrifted was One Foggy Christmas by Courtney Keisel. I don't know if this is a Christian romance, but I do know that it's a clean romance, so I thought that was a fun find, and I'll be excited to have this around Christmas time. Okay, and then the last book was a treat for myself. I went out and got this book the day I put my first video on YouTube as a gift for myself, and just wrote a note in the inside cover to remind myself to be proud of myself and to keep trying things that are scary and see where it goes and just enjoy it while it lasts, kind of thing. So I got The Duke's Bargain by Megan Walker. This one sounds lovely. It's a Regency romance. This is from Shadow Mountain. There's like a Deseret book around where I live, and so I love to go there and get all the Regency romances I can get. And so I thought this was the perfect little gift to myself to remind myself of that wonderful day when I put my first YouTube video up. Whew. Okay, I think that's all, you guys. I am just about all talked out. It's showing it's about 47 minutes worth of video, so hopefully I can trim that down. But let me know if you've read any of these books, if there are any that sound interesting to you, or if you have any content warnings for any of them. I'd love to know that as well. But thank you for being here, and I'll see you next week. Bye!